Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and this is my second card that I have in my September in-person class, and this is called an Art Deco Easel card. Elizabeth Shannon shared with demonstrators a packet that had a whole bunch of fun folds, and this was one of them that I really liked and wanted to share with my group. And I fell in love with this is magical, snowflake magic, that is in the 2023 September through December mini catalog, and it has foil papers. This one is kind of a Lost Lagoon with a shiny foil on it. There's 2 pages of that. There's 2 pages of a white with silver, and then there's 2 pages of this foil with white on it. And I just fell in love with that paper, so I wanted to use that. I did use some retired products that I do have for glimmer paper and things like that, but there is, in the online exclusives, I believe it's a silver and gold adhesive backed glimmer paper that you could use instead of the white, which I used on this card to create the snowflake. I also used a sentiment on the back side of my card from the Brightest Glow, and I did "Hoping your Christmas shines bright with the love of family and friends." And I also used some of my old retired stamp sets. There is a really nice new snowflake in that mini catalog. I just, because I have to just budget, and so I have to use kind of what I have if it's something similar. So I did use dies and the Snowflake Wishes, which left, I believe, last year or the year before, and then Joyful Flurry, which left last year, retired last year. So one of the things that I wasn't paying much attention to when I was making the cards is with this fold out, you have to make sure that it isn't wider than the 6 inches, or it won't fit in here. Unfortunately, I had to take both of mine apart to put them together to make sure that they still fit inside of an envelope, but they do fold up, fold down, and fit into an envelope. But I came up with some of my own measurements to kind of help with that, putting them together so that they fan out and don't exceed that measurement, so that they will fit in the envelope better. So I'm going to go over the parts and pieces. I know that some of the ladies that come to my class have like other colors for Christmas. They don't just like the red and green or whatever. And so I thought with the white and silver it would be really cute to make some different colors. So I did Flirty Flamingo and Gorgeous Grape and Blueberry with this. And like I said, I had some glimmer. This was a pack that had white, and there was kind of a turquoisey color and something else I can't remember right off the top of my head. And so this is the coloring that I chose for this particular packet. We are going to need and please, if you will, you can find all of the measurements on my blog, so if you don't want to write them down right now, you can visit the www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, and I'll have the measurements over there on that. But this is kind of how to put it together and the instructions on how to do it. So you're going to have a piece that is 6 inches by 4 inches, and then a piece that is 4 inches by 4 inches. These two are going to create the base that it sits on. The Art Deco part that's going to fold out, you're going to have a piece that is 4 inches by 4 inches, a piece that is 4 inches by 3 inches, that's 4 inches tall, and I'll show what we're going to do with that. And then these are the designer series paper. We're going to need a square that is 3.5 by 3.5. This is going to layer onto the triangles once we get them cut. This is a piece that is 3.5 by 2.5, and these will create the layers for that one. And I'm going to go over the measurements and how to cut that in just a moment. You will also need a piece of the same designer series paper that is 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch, and this is going to go across the front of your base. I also cut out circles. This is a 2.5 inch circle and a 2 1/4 inch circle. I've already stamped my sentiment on the one here. This is again a 2 1/4 inch circle. I cut a 2 1/4 inch circle out of this, and I'm going to be using one of the dies to cut the snowflake out of this to put on here, and I'll do that in just a moment. Let me put that out of the way. So I'm going to go over the measurements on how to do the Art Deco part first. You will need your trimmer before it's all over. So I'm going to put the designer series paper down there. So like I said, it is 4 inches tall. So this is the biggest piece, the first piece that's going to create the first layering triangles. And you're going to want to make a mark along the bottom edge at 2 inches. You can use your grid paper, you can use a ruler, however you want to do it. Liz Shannon had mentioned that some people had a problem doing it with the trimmer, so she suggested that they may even take and use the ruler and a pencil and draw the lines so that they could see how to cut that. But I wanted to, I don't know why I drew it on this side, now that I think about it. When my trimmer cuts, it kind of cuts down and creates a little edge, and I want to make sure I'm cutting on the same side so that that edge is at the same spot. So this one is 2 inches. You're going to put a mark. Keep this one in portrait, which is the smaller end across the top. This one you're going to put a mark at 1.5 because it's 3 inches, so 1.5 is halfway. Then this is the 3.5 by 3.5 for this piece. To keep the mark from showing on this side, I am going to go ahead and turn it over. And this one you're going to want to put the mark at 1 3/4 inch at the bottom. This one is the 3.5 by 2.5. You're going to put the mark at the bottom at 1 1/4, which is halfway. And I'll set that off over there. Oops. This is where you bring in the trimmer. You want to make sure you have your cutting blade on. And then you're going to line up your mark at the bottom in the little tray that's right here, and then the opposite top corner, you'll line that up at the other end of the tray. Make sure that those are there together. Some people have a problem with getting theirs started, or it crunches the corners, so you could always pick up your blade and kind of put it in the middle so that you push it down and you go out from the center kind of part. So you're going to have this piece, then you're going to line that center piece up again with the other opposite top corner, making sure you put that in the track, and then you can have that. Now you've got a big triangle and then two big right triangles. Then you're going to do the exact same thing with this one. Line up that center mark and then match up that top corner in the other end of the track, and then you'll cut that one. Then you're going to put that center mark in here again, opposite corner. I hope you're able to see all this. Okay. So then you're going to have these here. And then we're going to do the same thing with our designer series paper. Line that up in the track, opposite corner. And then these are going to coordinate with our pieces for the base of it. There and there. And again with this one. So once you have gotten these pieces cut, your next thing is to adhere the pieces, the designer series paper, onto these. Set that off to the side. And I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. This is a great thing to have, especially when you don't want to get glue on your grid paper, because then it'll get everywhere else on the card, and it'll allow you to kind of go over a little bit. It won't stick to the paper. With the Seal Plus, you can take and fold that back over the edge if it goes over, which is a nice thing. You do want to kind of get out towards your corners, that way they stick down. And then there's just kind of a little border around your base for the designer series paper. And we'll do this one. That one way over, but you can always just take and fold it up. Kind of hard adding adhesive this way. You can use white glue if you'd like. I just tend to get too much, which is why I tend to use the adhesive runners more. And then again, you're going to line this up with a little bit of a border and glue that down. And you'll just do that for all of these. I think that it really struck me about kind kind of getting a head start on Christmas type stuff, because a lot of people want to have time to get their things made to mail out for Christmas. And so I thought I would start with this one here. And our the host that I have for my class in October wanted to do Halloween and fall type cards. And then I'm gonna end up taking November off because we have a trip planned, and I just, since I work full time, that I'm just not gonna have enough time to do everything. So I have to make some concessions. My husband's birthday, and we're making a special trip for his birthday. So, sorry this is taking so long. Oh, looks like I have run out of this one. Just grab another one. I don't know if you can see where that glue goes over, and then I just fold it back to the back. Elizabeth, she didn't use this centerpiece of the small one, but we were looking at things on the card and decided to use that part on the back side. So sorry this is taking so long. Just takes a little bit to add the glue, and I did want to kind of go over how I kind of came up with to keep the fan part that we're putting together to go too large. I wanted to share that with you guys, so just need to put this together so I can show you one more piece. Okay. All right. So there is that part. So what I did, this is the center of that fan. And these are going to be glued behind it. These are the outer points, which is the slanted point, and then these do the same thing, and we're going to be tucking them up behind this center piece. But in order to know, because all of the points line up at the back of the bottom point, but to know how far out to go, I came up with measurements to measure from this outer point in. So on the larger right angles from the outer slanted point, you're going to measure at, finding it, 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 of an inch from that point in. And then the same thing on the other large right triangle. Like I said, you can use your grid paper to mark it. And then the smaller right angles from this slanted outer point, you're going to want to measure 1/2 of an inch and make a mark on the back side. Slanted point to 1/2 an inch. And this other is that mark it good enough? Yeah, right here. Just need to make it a little bit longer so I can see. Okay, it's hard to see on the camera, I'm sure, where I put that mark. But what you're going to want to do now with assembling this, you are going to want to use white glue. It's the best way to do this. You're going to add glue to the straight side of this, from the point all the way up to that corner. Then when you line it up, you're going to line up this point down at the bottom, and then you're going to flip it over and you're going to line up that mark with that edge of the triangle and glue that down. And then you'll repeat that on this other side. Add the glue on the straight side, not the slanted side. Glue it starting at the point at the back of the middle one. Like I said, I'm not very good with white glue and I end up getting it in different places. And then you're going to want to line up that mark with the edge of this triangle that you're gluing behind. Make sure your points all line up underneath the point at the bottom, and then just kind of glue those. Do the same thing with the smaller ones. You're going to line it up so that this mark comes up to the edge of the triangle you just glued in, and then do the same with the other side. Glue on the straight side, line up the point at the back, and then dropped it. Point at the back, and then go out so that that mark lines up with that edge of the triangle before it. And this is just so that when you put it together, you don't exceed that 6 inches. Because like I said, I end up having to pull both of mine apart because I did not put it together very well. So the point at the bottom lines up. This mark on this side goes over to line up with that triangle. And then you want to stick that down. Now what we did in the class was we took this piece and glued it so that it kind of covered this area at the back and gave it kind of a point at the back. You can do it with whatever adhesive you want, the white glue or whatever. You want to make sure that this top piece does not go past the front piece, and then the points all line up down at the bottom. And that way you don't even see it from the front, but on the back it's really pretty when you want to stick your sentiment on the back. I'm just gonna glue this onto this circle, and then I'll glue that circle onto the back. Oh, I'm going to set that aside because I just remembered. Before I stick that down, I want to make sure that I'm not putting it too low, because we have to put this inside the base. So let's bring back in those base pieces, which is a 6x4 and a 4x4. We will be using the scoring again. So moving that cutting blade out of the way. This is 6 inches. You're going to do this at every inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So line it up and score at every inch mark. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the same with your 4x4. I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. The smaller one is kind of a creating a stabilizer that keeps it from just opening up all the way at the bottom with just the one piece, and it also kind of pulls it together so that it's more stable to hold it in a standing position. So we're going to be doing zigzag folds, and you're going to want to burnish your folds. Okay, and this one's going to look kind of like M's. The other one, you're going to zigzag fold again, like the first one. But this one we're going to want it to look like a W. So we have M's and W, or mountains and valleys. This one is going to go underneath this top. This one with the 3 is the top. That's where the fan is going to be adhered so that it stands up. This one is going to create a stable environment because you're going to adhere the the outside of this to the underside of this. So you're going to put it in here. You're going to raise this one out of the way. You're going to add some glue to this portion. Make sure your sides are lined up. Fold that back in, and then fold this piece over and glue it down. Then you'll turn it around and you're going to do the exact same thing. So this one is showing the smaller piece on the top this time. We're going to adhere this outer piece of the top to this outer piece of the bottom. So put some more adhesive. Hold this back together and glue that to that side. And it's up to you which way you want to choose as the front of the card, but that is where you're going to put your other piece of Designer Sherry's paper on the front, just kind of to denote it as the front, make it a little more decorative. So then I'm going to put that on the front. There we go. And then you've got your fan, and you can put this on here on your grid paper. I'm going to just put it over here. So 1, 2, 3, it goes kind of almost to that 5. 1, 2, 3 goes over here almost to the 11. So it's less than the 6 inches. So this is a good one. Then you're going to take your tearing tape. So this is a very strong permanent tape. And you're going to put a couple of pieces down here at the bottom of the back. So the points of the back. Okay. I'm going to burnish those real good. And then I'll use the piercing end on my take your pick tool. Pull those backings off. Then you're going to want to, I have a piece of thing sticking out. So then you've got your outer edge, and your middle fold. On that middle fold, right about in the middle, is where you're going to want to put this down in that valley. If you want to put a, measure it and put a point, you can. Otherwise, you can just eyeball it. And then you're going to just push that together and stick that down. And that makes it where it stands up. This is where I can go ahead and put this one on the back for my message. And just want to get it where it's high enough but also low enough to kind of get a good image there. Then on the front, this is where I'm going to die cut a snowflake to go on front of my paper here. I'm going to bring in here the little Stampin' Cut and the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It is very well loved. And I'm just going to put that on there. And this just depends on what size of dies that you have for the snowflakes, or whatever design you want to go with. If you want to use this paper for birthday or some other type of celebration or something, you could do that as well. And then I'm just going to peel back this, and then I'm going to use that piercing end off of the take your pick tool and get those pieces out of here. And then I'm going to get it out of the die same way, using the piercing tool to poke those pieces out. I do love snowflakes, and I love trees, and I love flowers, and I end up having so many stamp sets and dies. So let me get this out of the way. Oh, let me throw away my little pieces before they end up on the floor. Now you can use glue dots or whatever you want. I wanted it to be a little, kind of stand up a little bit, but of course you have to take and roll the glue dots so that they won't be seen on the back side. And I'm just gonna do a couple of them, put where they can't be seen. And I just kind of take my piercing tool and grab a side and then just kind of roll it, and then I pull it off. There we go. And then you can kind of fiddle with your ends as well to kind of help it to hold up off of there a little bit. And then if you'd like, you could take dimensionals and add them to the back of your background circle. Pull those backings off. And then you could adhere this to the front of your card. And then it kind of just creates a little stand-up card that you could give to someone. And then on the envelope you could stamp some snowflakes. On this particular one that I have, I did take the multiple snowflakes that's on one stamp, and I did that in Lost Lagoon that I stamped off and then stamped on here, and then I did the pretty peacock in the sentiment on the back, and then I did a Lost Lagoon snowflake on the front, so you could decorate your envelope to go with your card. And on this also, I just remembered, there's a little gem. Now I also loved these when I saw them in that mini catalog. These white ones, you could even take your blends and add color to them and make them any color you want. I did happen to have some glossy dots left over from some other packets that I have, so I am going to add that to the center. Whoop. It popped up and landed on me. I'm going to put that in the center of my snowflake, kind of give it a cute little foil looking center there. And then, like we said, it does fit inside of a regular medium-sized envelope. Oh, now I can't grab them with my fingers for some reason, and you don't want to watch your snowflake since it's popped up. All your pieces, and then you can put that in there and seal it up and send it to a good friend or a family member. I hope that you enjoyed this. Again, the dimensions or measurements for the pieces are on my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. I hope that if you like this project that you will check out the blog for other projects that I have, and also my YouTube channel. If you will like and share, that way I can get the word out for my projects and my channel. And also, if you'd like to see more of these projects, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon and be notified when I upload new projects. And I usually do uploads for my blog and everything for about once a month, unless there's a month that I need to take off. I do appreciate you spending your time and joining me in these projects, and I hope that you have a great day.